Welcome to Golden Flame Stars. If the winding canyons of Hollywood could speak, they would not just whisper tales of starlets discovered in drugstores or the roar of adoring crowds. No, the truest, most enduring echoes from the silver screen's golden age are far more intimate. They are the quiet, steel-strong promises made between those who shared not just a bloodline, but an unyielding desire to capture lightning in a bottle. We are perpetually captivated by the individual legend, the singular idol standing alone on the pedestal of fame, but behind that blinding spotlight often lay a shared pulse, a mirror image, a shadow that both supported and, at times, perhaps haunted, in the heart of this devastating dream factory. Where identities were manufactured and legends were born, many siblings shared more than just fleeting talent. They shared an unbreakable, often tempestuous bond. These duos, bound by blood and ambition, show us how family support could turn a flickering spark of fame into a lasting, indelible legacy, or how the crushing weight of competition could extinguish even the brightest light. Together, working side by side in an industry known for devouring its own, they protected their family's reputation while reaching new, dizzying heights. It makes you wonder about the true cost of that ambition. How does the shared dream both fuel and fracture? Is it truly possible to grow together when the world and the studio bosses demand that you stand alone? There is a unique, cinematic tragedy in the stories of those who shared the limelight with their own kin. Picture the massive, imposing iron gates of a major studio during its golden era, closing not just on the eager, faceless crowds, but sometimes dividing brother from brother, sister from sister. We see the polished facade, the smiling photos in the fan magazines, the choreographed premiere appearances, but we are rarely shown the silent sacrifices made behind the velvet ropes. The stories of old Hollywood are built on a glamorous foundation of secrets, and none were more carefully guarded than the true dynamics within these acting dynasties. Think of the intense, unforgiving glare of the black and white camera, demanding perfection from a face that belongs not just to the star, but is a reflection of a father, a mother, or a sibling waiting in the wings. Some carried the legendary family name on screen, embodying the very essence of rugged heroism or sophisticated glamour, while others, perhaps less visible to the public eye but no less vital to the machinery of fame, helped protect that fragile name from behind the grinding camera lenses. Imagine the pressure of a looming Western dynasty, the legacy shaped by a father who was more myth than man, where one son inherited the physical rugged charm, while the other managed the difficult business of immortality. Consider the polished elegance of a British presence on the international stage, a quiet sophistication that seemed effortless to the world, but was in fact the result of a shared pedigree of refined artistry. These connections were deeper than any studio contract, more powerful than any director's command, but they were also a potential source of hidden pain, a private struggle fought while wearing a public smile. The atmosphere was one of brilliant grandeur, yes, but grandeur always casts a very long, revealing shadow. The stage is set, the lights are focused, but before the first line is spoken, we must understand the ghosts that walk with them in the wings. To ascend the steep, treacherous slopes of Hollywood is a daunting task for any lone dreamer, but to climb it alongside a sibling is to invite a completely different set of ghosts into the room. In those early golden years of a rising career, the studio gate seemed to promise infinite glory, yet the reality behind the velvet curtains was often a relentless crucible of comparison. The industry, by its very nature, loves a singular archetype, a solitary hero to plaster across billboards and marquee signs. When two individuals share the same blood, the same striking features, and the same burning ambition, the public facade must be crafted with surgical precision to ensure they do not eclipse one another. For some, the path to fame was a collaborative crusade, an unspoken pact to conquer the town from different angles. Look at the towering legacy of the Wayne family, where the legendary Duke cast a shadow longer than a desert sunset. Patrick Wayne stepped directly into the blinding light of the camera, inheriting his father's rugged, handsome screen presence in timeless classics, while his older brother, Michael Wayne, chose the unseen, immensely powerful domain of the producer's chair. Together, they formed a private Western dynasty, navigating the high-stakes machinery of old-school Hollywood, ensuring the family name remained unassailable by dividing the heavy burdens of fame and business. yet for every duo that found harmony in separating the spotlight from the shadows. Others had to endure the intense psychological weight of carrying an artistic bloodline through generations of expectations. The theatre and the cinema have always been haunted by dynasties, and few carry the raw, untamed intensity of the great Irish titan, Richard Harris. His sons, Jared and Jamie Harris, entered the arena with a shared theatrical pedigree, but chose entirely different weapons for their artistic survival. Jared built his kingdom on quiet elegance and meticulous transformation, gradually ascending to become prestige television royalty with a commanding intellectual presence. Jamie, conversely, took that unmistakable family intensity and channeled it into the darker, grittier corners of character acting, proving that the same blood could produce entirely different kinds of cinematic lightning. We see a similar, beautifully refined duality in the British presence of Ralph and Joseph Fiennes. Both possessed a rare, classical brilliance that captivated audiences across the globe, yet their paths diverged in the energies they brought to the silver screen. While Ralph became a master of granite serious, deeply complex, and sometimes chilling antagonists, Joseph captured the world's imagination as a warmly romantic, lyrical leading man. They shared a name and a standard of excellence, but the industry forced them to inhabit entirely different creative atmospheres to avoid a direct, devastating collision of identities, the transition from a quiet childhood into the garish, unrelenting glare of the Hollywood publicity machine often brought the first true difficulties, testing the limits of family devotion. During the vibrant, high-gloss era of 1980s television, the Bateman siblings, Justine and Jason, found themselves navigating the perilous waters of sudden, immense stardom. Justine became an instant cultural icon, her face synonymous with one of the era's most beloved sitcoms, while a young Jason watched, learned, and steadily built his own foundation. The industry is notoriously fickle, often elevating one sibling while the other waits in the wings, but the Batemans subverted this narrative through sheer resilience. As the decades shifted, Jason emerged as a masterful director and a powerhouse of dry humor and dramatic tension, while Justine evolved into a fiercely independent writer and filmmaker, proving that a shared comedic DNA could survive the shifting tides of fame. A similar contrast of energies defined the Dillon brothers, Matt and Kevin. Matt burst onto the scene with a rebellious, brooding intensity that made him an immediate Hollywood heartthrob, the very definition of a cinematic outsider. Kevin, meanwhile, carved his own distinct lane through sharp, indelible character roles, eventually finding his own massive wave of fame by leaning into humor and unforgettable supporting charm. The most profound hidden dramas, however, often unfolded within the phenomenon of child stardom, where the pressure cooker of early fame could either forge an unbreakable bond or create a lifetime of silent estrangement. The world watched in awe as a young Macaulay Culkin became a global pop culture phenomenon, his childhood instantly commodified by a demanding industry. Yet in his immediate shadow walked his younger brother, Kieran, who quietly observed the frantic, overwhelming nature of that early whirlwind. Instead of chasing the same immediate explosion of celebrity, Kieran chose a slower, craft-first trajectory, anchoring his talent in bold, grounded, and fiercely independent performances until he, too, claimed his rightful place at the absolute pinnacle of television royalty. This delicate balance between early public adoration and long-term artistic survival is also mirrored in the unforgettable Olsen legacy. Mary-Kate Olsen defined a generation of childhood stardom, co-building a vast lifestyle and fashion empire before choosing to retreat from the acting spotlight entirely into a world of high-fashion privacy. Years later, her younger sister, Elizabeth, stepped into the dramatic arena, deliberately avoiding the child star blueprint to become a formidable, critically acclaimed powerhouse in a new era of cinematic blockbusters. Behind the flawless makeup and the rehearsed smiles of Hollywood's elite lay a complex network of behind-the-scenes intrigues where siblings often acted as the ultimate protectors against a predatory industry. Cary Elwes enchanted audiences as the ultimate dashing romantic hero, a symbol of fairy tale adventure, while his older brother, Cassian, operated in the high-stakes world of independent film production and talent management, shaping stories and protecting creators from the brutal realities of studio politics. They were two sides of the same creative coin, one embodying the dream on screen, the other defending it in the boardroom. This pattern of mutual shield-bearing repeats across decades, from the versatile Kevin Bacon collaborating on stage with his musical brother Michael, to the legendary comedic powerhouse Ben Stiller, whose sharp Hollywood trajectory was quietly accompanied by his sister Amy's steady, witty character work. Even the action-packed world of contemporary cinema reveals these hidden structures, where a global box office force like Jason Statham dominates the international screen, while his brother Lee maintains a deeply private, soulful life as a musician far from the Hollywood glare, offering a vital anchor to reality. These early years of building an empire required an unspoken understanding that the spotlight is a beautiful but dangerous place to stand alone, setting the stage for the deep, transformative dramas that would eventually alter their lives forever. Behind the gilded iron gates and the cascading camera flashes, there comes a moment in every Hollywood dynasty when the perfect illusion begins to fracture. The public sees only the glittering trophies, the glamorous red carpets, and the coordinated press releases. But behind closed doors, the pressure of maintaining a manufactured legacy often extracted a devastating emotional toll. Studios went to extraordinary lengths to suppress the true depth of these family fractures, demanding that their stars present a unified, flawless front to a world hungry for escapism. But the human heart cannot always conform to the cold dictates of a studio contract. When the blinding spotlight of fame is cast upon a single family, it inevitably breeds an atmosphere of intense scrutiny, quiet desperation, and a subterranean tension that no amount of cinematic magic can entirely erase. It was during these hidden turning points, when the facade cracked and the secret struggles spilled into the open, that the true mettle of these Hollywood legends was tested. Forever altering the courses of their lives and legacies, perhaps no story better illustrates the devastating psychological toll of competitive stardom than the legendary, lifelong estrangement between Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine. They were the epitome of Golden Age elegance, carving out magnificent, critically acclaimed careers under the watchful eyes of legendary directors. Yet beneath their refined, aristocratic countenances lay an intense, simmering rivalry that would become Hollywood's most talked-about family drama. When they became the only sisters in cinema history to both win the coveted Best Actress Academy Award, the industry chose to view it as a triumph of genetic genius. In truth, the studio publicity machine weaponized their personal grievances to fuel box office receipts, all while attempting to hush the profound bitterness that kept them apart for decades. The public relished the drama of the glamorous icy snubs at high society galas, but behind the closed doors of their private lives, the rift was a source of deep, unhealing pain. It was a turning point that defined the darker side of the Golden Age, demonstrating how the relentless machinery of fame could take an unbreakable childhood bond and transform it into a permanent, icy exile. A silent battle fought in full view of a fascinated world. While some bonds were fractured by rivalry, others were shattered by sudden, catastrophic tragedy, leaving an indelible mark of grief on those who remained to carry the family torch. Catherine Deneuve, the cool, luminous face of French cinema, shared her early intoxicating rise to fame with her older sister, Françoise Doric. Together, they were a breathtaking vision of the 1960s, appearing as vibrant mirror images of grace in the young girls of Rochefort. Françoise possessed an electrifying, fiery charisma that perfectly complemented Catherine's serene elegance, and the world seemed to belong to them both. But in a single, horrific moment, the dream dissolved when Françoise passed away in a violent car accident at the tender age of 25. The shockwaves rippled through the industry, but for Catherine, it was a profound, life-altering turning point. Forced to return to the set and face the unrelenting gaze of the camera alone, she transformed her immense grief into a shield of cool, enigmatic detachment that would define her legendary career, always honoring her sister as both family and legend. A similarly heartbreaking echo resonates through the legendary Redgrave bloodline, where the elegant Jolie Richardson shared a profound artistic and sisterly connection with Natasha Richardson. Natasha brought an unmistakable warmth, intelligence and theatrical brilliance to iconic films like The Parent Trap and The Stage. When an unforeseen tragic accident claimed Natasha's life, the world mourned a great actress, But behind closed doors, a family was shattered, leaving a bond remembered with the deepest, most enduring affection. The modern era of cinema brought its own heavy, hidden dramas, as siblings fought to protect each other from the darker, more predatory undercurrents of the entertainment industry. A much darker, more solemn turning point unfolded in the lives of Sean and Chris Penn. Sean became an intense, commanding Hollywood powerhouse, securing Oscar glory, while his younger brother Chris earned profound critical praise for his raw, emotionally exposed roles in cult classics like Reservoir Dogs and Footloose. Yet the heavy burdens of the Hollywood lifestyle took a quiet, devastating toll behind closed doors, culminating in Chris's tragic and untimely passing in 2006 at the age of 40. It was a shattering blow that forced a notoriously private family to grieve under the intense glare of the public eye, forever changing Sean's perspective on the fleeting nature of fame. Similarly, the global comedy icon Eddie Murphy shared his sharpest insider humor and his early journey with his older brother, Charlie Murphy. While Eddie achieved unprecedented global superstardom, Charlie carved out a legendary cult status with his fearless, raw storytelling on Chappelle's show. When Charlie passed away in 2017, the laughter in their private world fell silent, leaving Eddie to carry the massive weight of their shared history alone, a stark reminder that even the funniest men in Hollywood carry profound, unspoken sorrows behind the velvet curtains. To grow up within a Hollywood dynasty is to be born into a beautiful yet terrifying labyrinth, where the turning points are often defined by a desperate struggle for individual identity. The legendary Fonda family cast a massive, intimidating shadow over American culture. Jane and Peter Fonda found themselves at the center of a cultural revolution, turning away from the traditional studio system to redefine modern cinema. Jane became a symbol of fearless drama, while Peter shattered the status quo as a counterculture icon who helped ignite a new era with Easy Rider. Their artistic choices were a direct challenge to the old Hollywood establishment, a turning point that brought immense creative freedom but also severe institutional strain as they navigated their family's complicated legacy before Peter passed away at 79. In a similar vein, the unique, enigmatic upbringing of the Phoenix family forged an intense, fiercely protective bond between Walken and Rain Phoenix. As Walken ascended to become an Oscar-winning powerhouse with haunting, transformative performances in films like Joker, Rain anchored their shared creative roots in alternative music and independent cinema. They remained closely bonded and proudly protective of one another, navigating the treacherous waters of sudden global fame by retreating into an absolute, tightly guarded privacy, shielding their family from the voyeuristic tendencies of a society that thrives on the downfall of its idols. These turning points fundamentally reshaped these heroes, turning them from mere celebrities into complex, haunting figures of resilience, proving that behind the perfect facade, the truest bond is the one that survives the storm. As the final curtain falls and the dust settles on the grand, historic studio lots, we are left to contemplate the true magnitude of what these extraordinary family alliances left behind. Hollywood has always been an industry obsessed with the ephemeral, chasing the fleeting youth of its icons and the next weekend's box office receipts. Yet, the deep-rooted connections between siblings have provided a rare permanence, a solid foundation beneath the shifting sands of celebrity. To truly understand the mark these legends left on history, one must look beyond the marquee names and discover the fascinating, little-known biographical truths that bound these creative souls together. Often, the most profound cultural shifts occurred when an artistic bloodline split perfectly between two entirely different mediums, proving that the family gift could conquer multiple worlds simultaneously. Consider the incredible hidden harmony of the Voight family, where Jon Voight climbed to the absolute pinnacle of cinematic reverence with his Oscar-winning, raw performances in Midnight Cowboy and Coming Home. While Jon owned the silver screen, his younger brother, Chip Taylor, was quietly shaping the very fabric of global pop culture from a recording studio, penning immortal rock anthems like Wild Thing and Angel of the Morning. Two entirely different stages, one unmistakable creative current, their bond kept beautifully private, while their collective output defined the soundtrack and the vision of an entire generation. This seamless blending of different artistic disciplines repeats in the warm, enduring collaboration of the Bacon brothers. While Kevin Bacon became a household name, navigating the uncompromising landscapes of Footloose and Mystic River, his older brother Michael chose the intricate world of composition and musicianship. Instead of allowing the industry to separate their talents, they transformed their natural sibling chemistry into a lifelong musical partnership, proving that brotherhood could survive the fickle whims of fame. In the high-stakes world of Hollywood production, a similar symbiotic relationship kept the legendary Douglas dynasty unassailable. Michael Douglas commanded the screen with an intense, Oscar-winning magnetism in Wall Street. But his brother Joel chose the immense responsibility of the producer's chair, working tirelessly behind the scenes to help guide and shape major projects. They conquered the industry without ever competing for the same narrow lane, demonstrating a profound family-first loyalty that kept them anchored through decades of intense public scrutiny. This rare protective instinct is a hallmark of the great Hollywood families, an unspoken agreement that the preservation of the name is far more important than any individual ego. When we look at the long, storied histories of director-actor collaborations, none possess the playful, deeply loyal charm of the Howard brothers. Ron Howard transitioned from a beloved child star into one of the most celebrated, Oscar-winning directors in history, steering monumental epics like Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind. Yet, a close examination of his filmography reveals a delightful, heartwarming secret. His younger brother, the iconic character actor Clint Howard, has popped up in 17 different films directed by Ron, from the whimsical warmth of Cocoon to the tense, technical corridors of Apollo 13. Now, navigating their later years together, they remain a shining example of how family can transform the cold, calculated business of filmmaking into a joyous, collaborative playground. A similar cinematic pedigree defines the magnificent Huston lineage, where the unforgettable, Oscar-winning presence of Angelica Huston, from the Addams Family to Prizzy's Honor, stands side by side with her brilliant half-brother, Danny Huston. Inheriting the immense creative genius of their father, the legendary director John Huston, both Angelica and Danny carved out fiercely independent, powerful careers as actors and directors, bridging generations of Hollywood royalty with a mutual, unspoken respect for their shared artistic inheritance. The sisterhoods of Hollywood have left an equally indelible, trailblazing mark on the cultural landscape, often defining the very essence of grace, leadership, and style across different eras. The extraordinary bond between Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad stands as a monumental testament to artistic brilliance. While Debbie shattered glass ceilings behind the camera as a groundbreaking choreographer and director, shaping generations of dancers through her work on Fame, Felicia became a defining, beloved television and stage presence. Forever etched in history as the sophisticated Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show, together, these sisters became cultural trailblazers, elevating the standard of entertainment through their unyielding devotion to their craft. We see a similar, elegant distribution of talent in the Curtis family, daughters of the ultimate old Hollywood screen legends Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh. Jamie Lee Curtis rode a wave of fearless intensity to become a global icon in Halloween and True Lies, while her older sister Kelly Curtis chose a lower-key, steady career with memorable roles in projects like Magic Sticks and The Sentinel. They navigated the heavy, often intoxicating burden of having legendary parents by choosing different levels of the spotlight, preserving their private relationship away from the prying eyes of the paparazzi. As the years advance and these icons enter the golden autumns of their lives, the quiet strength of these sibling bonds becomes their ultimate sanctuary, a comforting reminder of who they were before the world claimed them. The elegant Blythe Danner brought a timeless, aristocratic sophistication to the stage and screen, culminating in late-career triumphs like Meet the Parents, while her younger brother Harry Danner thrived outside the Hollywood glare, earning a formidable reputation as an accomplished operatic tenor and live performer. Now celebrating their 8th decade of life, their shared artistic roots remain as vibrant as ever, rooted in a mutual appreciation for live performance. John Travolta, forever immortalized for his electrifying, era-defining roles in Grease and Saturday Night Fever, shared his earliest showbiz aspirations with his older sister, Ellen Travolta. While John exploded into a stratosphere of worldwide superstardom, Ellen built a deeply respected, long-lasting career on television, becoming a familiar, comforting face to millions in Joni Loves Chachi and General Hospital. Now, as they navigate their later years, their bond remains beautifully intact. A bridge to the innocent days before global fame altered their reality. The passage of time inevitably brings a poignant, reflective atmosphere to these Hollywood stories, reminding us of the bittersweet nature of a life lived in the public eye. We look at the tight, enduring bonds of sisters like Goldie Hawn and her publicist sister Patty, Michelle Pfeiffer, and her actress sister Dee, and Nicole Kidman alongside her respected journalist sister Antonia. Each pair demonstrates that for every global superstar commanding the lens, there was often a fiercely loyal sibling offering grounding support from the periphery. The industry watched with deep emotion as legendary figures reached the final chapters of their journeys, such as the brilliant Diane Keaton, who shared her deeply creative roots with her sister Dory Hall, leaving behind a cinematic legacy that will be studied for generations. We see the steady, prolific, independent path of Joe Estevez, alongside his legendary brother Martin Sheen, the academic triumphs of Rodney Atkinson beside his brother Rowan, the comedy icon Mr. Bean, and the enduring entertainment contributions of Donald Gibson alongside his superstar brother Mel. Even in the modern landscape, powerhouses like Zoe Saldana rely on the behind-the-scenes leadership of her producer sister, Cicely, to shape the future of cinema. Hollywood may sell us the glamorous illusion of the solitary individual star, but history proves that true greatness often arrives as a family package. From the siblings who shared the high-stakes pressure of the screen to those who quietly shaped legendary careers from the safety of the wings, each pair adds a profound, deeply moving layer to the legends we thought we knew. They remind us that behind the manufactured brilliance of the Dream Factory lies a very real, very human need for connection, loyalty, and love. If any of these extraordinary family connections surprised you, drop it in the comments below and tell us which famous sibling duo we should uncover next in our cinematic journey. Thank you for watching Golden Flame Stars, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next captivating countdown into the hidden histories of cinema's greatest idols. Breaking news banner: Hollywood Dynasty's Exposden Masting the Velvet Curtain. Golden Flame Star Special. Report the Deep Dive. A sweeping investigative chronicle exploring the hidden bonds, structural alliances, and quiet sacrifices of over 60 of Hollywood's most iconic sibling duos, the bitter rivalries, uncovering the complex psychological realities and studio-fueled friction that define legendary rivalries like the decades-long clash between Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine, the silent pillars, how figures like Michael Wayne, Cassian Elwes, and Doug Pitt meticulously engineered and protected generational empires entirely from the shadows of the industry, honoring the icons, reflecting on the profound, life-altering turning points that shook these acting dynasties, from the tragic, untimely passings of Françoise d'Orléac and Chris Penn to the enduring legacy of the late, irreplaceable Diane Keaton. Stay tuned to Golden Flame Stars as the full historical reel unfolds.